Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to show you how to make this little miniature table for your diner. Okay? The very first thing you need to do is you're going to need to get yourself some copper tubing and cut them. And then you're going to need to get some copper wire and cut 4 pieces that are even.
Yeah, this is 1/4 inch soft copper. You can buy it at the Home Depot in 2-foot lengths if you have to. These I cut at 2 inches. This I cut at 3 7/8, or you can cut it at 4 and then make it all even after you get finished. And I marked it with a little red marker here. You probably can't see it, but I put a little marker where I want to bend it. I'm going to bend all 4 of them at the same time, which makes it easier.
He's putting the pliers right on his line where he marked it.
You can get a wider pair of pliers. They sell those at Home Depot also. Or you can get a pair of tongs, what they're called. Or if you have a vise and you got confidence, put it in the vise and just bend it. Now what I did is I put these 4 inside the tube. We're only going to use 2 of them coming out this end to support the table, but it makes it much easier to do it this way when you go to solder it. So that's that step, and when it comes time to solder it, this is what you want to do. I put a little X on the brick right there so that I'll line the table legs up with it, or yeah, line the table legs up with it. Line it up with that X. And by the way, this wire is 14 gauge. You can get that at Home Depot. They sell it in a roll if you're not sure how much you're going to need or how many tables you're going to make. It's 14 W2 is the wire. If I can get these things lined up, my fingers are so
Okay, so
big.
go ahead and line them up with your X to make sure you have them even. And then you want to get some solder, and you can either use a torch or a soldering iron. The torch seems to be the best thing. However, you have to be really cautious when using a torch because it does come out as a flame. I'm not sure if you can see that flame or not, but it's very hot and it will burn you. So you need to be very careful. And also it will burn whatever it touches. So we are using a brick because the brick is not going to burn.
And you can put some flux on it. I already put it on there, so you can put flux on there when you're ready to.
Now this is like 1920s flux can he's had in his garage, but it still works. So, but you can get the newer flux at the hardware store as well.
And you can use your ordinary solder that you can buy at the Radio Shack. That's where this came from about 15 years ago. There's not too many Radio Shacks around anymore.
You can also buy that at your hardware store. You don't have to go to Radio Shack.
I think I got the tube of it, like over there. I got that at the dollar store.
Okay, now you want to heat it up and do this until it starts to change color. When this starts to change color, then it'll automatically be hot enough to melt that solder right onto it.
Mm-hmm.
See how it just is taking that solder right into it? It's because it's so hot. It's just sucking it in.
Now what you want to do is while you got it there, just drip a couple drops of water on it, and that'll harden the solder. That hardens the solder. Now, for safety's sake, don't put your finger in it.
For safety's sake.
Yeah, just take it and cool it down.
Yeah, don't touch it with your hand because it will be extremely
It only takes
hot.
a couple dips in there. And that's nice and cool.
That's it. Okay, so now you can see how it is on the bottom of it. And it's soldered all the way around. Okay.
So when it comes to applying it to your table, you can take the cutters and cut off what you're not going to use, or leave them all on there if you want to, but you don't have to have them on there because it's only going to be a little piece of wood.
Okay, and the wood that we're using for the tabletop, they were pre-cut at the craft store. There's these little craft rectangles. And I went ahead and stained them using watered down acrylic. And there's another tutorial where I showed you how to paint these tabletops. But basically you just want to water down the acrylic, and you want to use some good acrylic paint to do that with. Okay, so now he's just bending the wire. Okay, so that's what that's going to look like. Now, before we go to the next step, I just want to show you, these are the benches that we made, and this is the table that we are in the process of making. So the brick is not exactly level, but you can kind of see how that's going to go together. All right, now you can make your tabletop any way you want, but this is the easiest way that we found that's going to look more realistic for what we want. Okay, so once you have that done, then you want to go ahead and make sure everything's cool.
Bend them over, and you can take your top, put it on top of it, and put a little hot glue or whatever you're going to use to hold it all together.
Now, there's a couple things you can use to glue it. They have some ultra gel, which will stick to metal, and it'll stick to the wood. So you could use that. You can use some E6000, or you can just use some hot glue. Now, the hot glue is a little bit messy. However, you don't see it when it's down at the table, so it doesn't really matter. I went ahead and painted it, and the hot glue is the fastest way to go.
And you can mark the center of the table. If you get the same size blocks as we had, they're 3 inches by I think it was 3 by 2. So to mark the center, you would come in 1 inch. You'd come in 1 inch here and mark it, and 1.5 inches this way and mark it. And that would be the center. Now, we used a 1/4 inch soft copper, so you come over 1/8 of an inch on both sides of your lines. It's approximately 1/8 of an inch, and that's where your pipe would go inside all 4 of those lines, all 4 of these lines, to make it even. You'll see what I mean here. how that would just about center it right where you want it. And if you just want to take another thing you can do is, if you don't want to go that route, you can just put the 4 wires in and about halfway up the pipe and solder them, and then just put a dab of hot glue on there and hot glue the whole thing.
Okay, now he's going to show you how we glued it.
We're going to take and put a little dab right in the center, the hot glue.
Don't let the hot glue touch you because it will burn you.
We're going to set that down in the hot glue and then go down at least 2 of the legs. And that'll hold till the cows come home.
And also, when you go down on the 2 of the legs, if you want to add the glue like this to just kind of add more to it, you can do that as well. You don't have to, but you can.
But the hot glue will hold it.
The hot glue will definitely hold it. Unless, you know, you've got some destructive child playing with it that's going to be pulling on it and tugging on it, and this is not meant for a child, obviously. Alright, if you're going to make it for a child, what I would recommend is you use thicker wood for the tabletop, maybe 2 or 3 of these glued together, and then draw a hole and use a wooden dowel as your base, glue it into there, and then I would put another base on the bottom with wood. That way it's sturdy for a child. I wouldn't recommend that a child plays with this. Okay, now before you paint it, you want to take some rubbing alcohol or some paint thinner or something. Make sure you're using some gloves and you're in a well-ventilated area. I'm not using gloves, but that's because it's just alcohol.
Yeah, well,
But anyway, take the alcohol, clean off the flux that's left over because the paint will not stick to that. Now, I'm just using some metallic acrylic, which if you use acrylic, you're going to have to put a clear coat over top of it for it to stay. Otherwise, it will scratch off. And also what you want to do is kind of make sure that all the stragglies are off of it from the hot glue. Otherwise they'll show up because, you know, the hot glue tends to get like these little spider web things on it. Because then that's just going to become a problem. Now what I did is I did the hot glue with a little bit of the crazy glue, but you can also use spray paint with primer in it to paint it. Or you can use like an alcohol-based paint, and that would work as well. Now, with this acrylic, you will need at least 3 coats. Even though this is the good acrylic that, or this good metallic that covers in 1 coat, you are going over metal. So it's not like you're covering wood or you're covering something else. So just go ahead and paint it with the 3 coats, and then put a clear coat of something on it. They have polyacrylic that you can use. Glidden has a clear coat that you can use, and then also there is Mod Podge if all else fails. You can use that, and I would use a very glossy gloss when doing it. Now you can paint the bottom of your table as well, or you can just leave it as is. You don't really have to do anything with that. It's completely up to you. Alright? Okay guys, thanks for watching, and don't forget to follow Dollhouse Miniature Madness and Tutorials.com. Also, check us out on Facebook, Dollhouse Miniature Madness and Tutorials, and on YouTube. Like and subscribe to the channel because we post videos all the time. And leave a comment, question, or suggestion because we love hearing from you. And if you like Pinterest, we have tons of pens on there as well under Laurie Holden Heisler. Alright, thanks a lot. Have a great day.